What's up, everybody? Dead Girl here. Happy Wednesday. Happy middle of the week. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Tonight, I have a very special guest on our show. She's brand new to us. She's not been on before. We have our friend Tabitha with Composite Effects, or CFX, if you will. I'm going to warn you guys, she's a very beautiful young lady, so I'm going to need you guys to calm it down and how you get riled up sometimes. So let's bring her on. Hello! How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, my love?
It's Wednesday. It's hump day. We're halfway there.
Almost there. Almost there.
So, folks that may not be familiar with you, if you would please tell us a little bit about your amazing self.
Well, sure. So my name is Tabitha Barron. I am the trade show sales, social media manager, and trade show logistics extraordinaire for CFX Masks. I do a little bit of everything there. I am usually the face of CFX Masks, so you see me doing interviews like this. I sling the silicone at trade shows. I answer your questions on social media, and all that jazz. All the pictures you see and all the other little media stuff I do as well.
You do all the things.
All the things.
Do you have downtime? Is that a thing?
Not as much as I would like, which goes into, running and wanting to own a haunt and stuff like that. But yeah, I wish I had a little bit more downtime. But all in all, I love what I do for CFX, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
How long have you been involved with CFX?
So officially, I've been with CFX full time for 4 years.
Nice.
But before that, I was doing a lot of freelance PR work at different trade shows like San Diego Comic-Con. That's my hometown, so I've been going to that convention since I was very young. I won't put it on that. I won't age myself.
Okay.
But yes, so I knew that convention. That's my hometown. They're like, hey, you know this space, you know our stuff. Can you come assist us? And I was like, absolutely. So that led into many years later. They convinced me to come work for them full time out here in Baton Rouge. So this is where I'm located now.
So did you guys just kind of meet them organically through Comic-Con while you were just kind of hanging out, or how did that come to be?
So I was actually a consumer of the product before I went to work for CFX.
Ah.
Josh, who's my counterpart, my other half, both at CFX and in life, he we like to joke we assimilated ourselves into the company, which is kind of a joke, kind of not a joke. Yeah, we used to work at the Haunted Hotel in San Diego for many years, and when silicone masks first kind of came on the market in like 2008-ish, we knew it was a game changer. We invested in some of the masks for the haunt. I wore my first mask in 2008, and basically never looked back. It's a game changer for the haunted house industry. And so we would buy the masks for Haunted Hotel. We eventually left and opened up our own attraction in the San Francisco Bay Area called Scarecrow Haunted Attraction. And then so obviously we bought a lot more. And then that's when our real friendship really started with Ken, who's the owner of CFX, and a lot of the other team members who are still there many years later. And so that's kind of how it started. We were using the masks, and then we loved the masks, and we were telling everybody else how much we love the masks. And at these trade shows, we'd be in the booth at CFX, and we'd be like, oh yeah, we love this mask, we love this mask. And we'd be overhearing people be like, oh, I don't know about this. And we'd be like, well, you can maybe do this. And eventually Ken was like, hey, you have questions, come talk to these guys. They know all about the masks, they own masks, they can tell you about it. And so, yeah, we literally kind of assimilated ourselves into assisting them at trade shows and then eventually coming to work for them full time. I guess 10-ish years later.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Now I gotta ask you guys, being out there in California, is it? I've never been. It's on my bucket list. We're hoping to get out there like the next year or so. But like for the fall weather, once haunt season rolls around, is it still ungodly hot like it is here in Florida?
So, as a comparison, I'm in Baton Rouge now, so I know about humidity.
Heat.
Is a
Yes.
new. Um, it's a different kind of heat out there. So yes, it does get hot, but we don't have the humidity, so we're not sweating well the same way.
Okay.
Sweat eventually, but it's a dry heat. So it does stay usually pretty warm. The events that we used to work at or run would either be inside or outside. So depending on what the event was that we were running, obviously
Okay.
you'd have to deal with some heat, or some rain, or cold, because it does get cold in California, believe it or not, especially in Northern California.
I've heard. Now I have to ask. So with the masks, are they super hot? Is there any type of cooling system within them? I ask that because again, for us down here in Florida, masks are very rough just because of our humidity and our just overall blah weather that doesn't seem to know what cold is here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you do sweat in the masks. It does get kind of gross, but the beauty of the silicone masks, which is why we use silicone, is it's a very stretchy and durable material. It's an easy on, and it's an easy off. So if you do start sweating, you can take the mask off, wipe yourself off, the mask off, and all that jazz. Um,
Nice.
it, we understand that heat is a problem. We used to try to sell the masks for like everything, be like, oh, it's a perfect fit for X, Y, and Z.
Right.
It is for the most part, but it's not for everything. We're actually working on a few ways right now with some local haunts to eliminate some of that heat issue.
Okay.
A lot of our masks we can do in what we call face only. So it's like the face side of the mask with like elastic strapping,
Okay.
and also head only, where we can just do just the head of the mask and cut it kind of at the jawline and have no
Nice.
neck and bib. So those two things kind of help with heat. Another thing that we're also experimenting with right now is, instead of doing the elastic strapping
Mhm.
attached to the mask, we are incorporating parts of the silicone mask itself as strapping. Um,
Oh, okay.
that's a new thing that we're teasing right now with some haunts out here in Baton Rouge. So hopefully we'll have some good R&D on that this summer into fall, and you'll be seeing more of that on social
Ah,
media and whatnot. But
very
we understand heat's a thing. You can put them in a cold bucket of water. You can put them in a fridge. You can put them in a freezer. You can put them in a bucket of ice if you want to cool it down. So if you do get hot,
oh.
and you do get hot, you can do those, relax for 10, 15 minutes, pop the mask back on, you're good to go. But yeah.
I didn't even think about sticking that in like a cold bucket of water for a minute, just because I don't know. I don't think about that kind of thing. I just wear it and go and do my thing, so that doesn't really cross my mind. But that's a great idea. That's an excellent point. Is to throw that
I mean,
into something that's cooler, just to kind of bring it down a little bit.
and it's really because of the material. You know, you wouldn't really want to do that to a latex masks. And so
No.
they're still learning, even though silicone masks have been on the market for well over almost, oh gosh, we're going on 15 plus years now.
Yeah.
Um, People still aren't sure of the science behind it. And so yeah, silicone, it's like medical grade silicone. We've baked a cake in one of the masks before. Uh,
Really?
yeah, it was unpainted, obviously, the cake and the mask. But yeah, up to 500 degrees, so you can leave it in your trunk, no problem, whether you're in cold weather or warm weather or hot and humid weather. Yeah, it's not gonna affect the material. So that's one of the really awesome parts about silicone.
That's pretty cool. Because I mean, listen. If anybody's like me, and I'm sure tons of other people out there, we tend to leave stuff in our car, and it's not intentional. It just happens. So the fact that, yeah, you could leave it in the car and not necessarily have to worry about coming back and having a completely destroyed product after it being in there for a couple of days is fantastic, and I absolutely love that. So thank thank you guys for that.
Yeah, I mean, we know that, like, when you're running a haunt, or when you're doing your home haunt even, or doing cosplays, you're not usually storing these masks I mean, hopefully you can, but storing these masks in climate controlled environments, so we just want to make sure that the product that we have and that we sell you is going to have, a longevity, that we have
Yeah.
a silicone life rating on the material itself we use, and
Oh.
everything in between. So we want to make sure that you're happy for a long time.
Now, what is the life rating on one of your masks? Does it depend on what mask it is? Also, I didn't even think about that, because I know you guys have some really like intricate designs. You also have some, I don't want to call them basic because they're really not, but some that are a little bit more simplistic.
Yeah. So the material itself, from Smooth On, and we use Smooth On silicone, has
Nice.
a lifespan rating of up to 25 to 30 years.
Okay.
We haven't had any issues with the material itself, breaking down or degrading or anything like that. We're going up. to about the 20-ish year mark with us using this material. So far, no issues that way. The material doesn't break down like latex, so you're not going to run into the same issues with like over 10 or 10, 15 years, the material sticking together and like having to peel it apart and
Yeah.
losing its like color or losing bits and pieces of the whole mask altogether. Silicone doesn't do that. So in that regard, the lifespan of these masks are nearly indefinite, as long as you treat them well and you can leave them on the shelf just like that for
Nice.
its entire life, and it's not going to change. Keep it out of direct sunlight if you have a like porcelain white mask,
Okay.
because bleaching can happen. But that's like direct sunlight for continuous years at a time.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the longevity of this mask is amazing. Josh has a personal one that he bought in 2009, and it's still kicking.
That's awesome.
So
And I've got quite a few people in the chat chiming in, and I've got a great question that I honestly didn't think to ask. So thank you, Molly Z, for this. She's asking, what would you recommend to use to clean your masks, or like
Molly's,
sanitize them, if you will?
that's a wonderful question. We get asked it a lot. We have a few videos on it on our YouTube and our
Okay.
TikTok, Facebook and Instagram too. But isopropyl alcohol,
Yes.
rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle. It's totally safe for the masks. It's not going to hurt it. It's not going to peel any of the paint or damage the material.
Nice.
You can use, what is it? It's like 78 or whatever store-bought stuff is totally fine.
Okay.
You can use higher. It evaporates quicker. It doesn't
Right.
necessarily clean it any faster. So anything from the store is totally fine.
Okay.
We recommend putting it into like a spray bottle or a spritz bottle and spritzing the heck out of that mask, the outside, the inside, giving it a good wipe. You don't want to leave any moisture on the inside of the mask. There's very few things that can hurt silicone masks, and mold can happen. So you want to make sure you reduce moisture when it's sitting by itself for as long as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that works. Or if it's really dirty, like if you had a really heavy night of haunting and you're really gross and sweaty and you want to give the mask a bath, you can do that in a sink or your tub. You can just use warm running water and a little bit of Dawn dish soap or any kind of like dish soap. A little dab will do ya. Get it all sudsy. Make sure you get all that dirt and grime off. The biggest thing is when you're doing it that way, or any way of cleaning the mask, is you don't want to scrub.
Okay.
You don't want to use anything too abrasive, because if you're scrubbing, you can wear away the layers that have the paint and whatnot on it. So just don't scrub, but you can use like your hand. You can kind of rub around on the mask and stuff, and that's totally fine. And same thing, you just want to make sure the water runs clean. You want to make sure it's completely dry. For drying, I recommend using like a lint-free cloth. That way there's no little bits and pieces of lint or paper towel stuck to your mask on the long run.
Yeah, which happens. I'm just gonna throw that
Yeah,
out there.
happens, and especially if you have a mask that's blacklight reactive, you might think it's completely clean, and then you're going to the blacklight and you've got
Uh-huh.
place. So a lint-free cloth, or they have like those blue shop towels that are like mechanics use.
Yeah.
It too. But yeah, we have videos, and I think they're linked on our social media pages, so feel free to give those a browse. And I'll probably repost those again pretty soon here. So it seems like that's a popular question since more people are buying more masks.
And we're coming up. Haunt season is going to be here before we know it. I know conventions, there's all conventions happening, so everybody's shopping right now, and builds
Yes.
are well underway, and I know a lot of people love them for costuming as well. And I know you mentioned like they're kind of easy on, easy off. Is there, how do I word this? Can you be too rough with the mask? Because I know some folks
Yes.
who are a little they're just getting in that mood of get me out of this thing, and they're just like yank, and it's like, well, how durable is it as far as like the on off goes, right? Because I'm imagining you don't want somebody to just try to like tear it off, because let's be honest, you don't want to do that with any mask. So what's the best way to put it on and to take it off?
So there's a few different methods that we have, and then you can develop a method the more comfortable you get with putting on and taking off silicone masks. To answer your first question, they are pretty durable, but they don't like to be manhandled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want any sharp, pointy objects. So like any like rings or I know us ladies, we like to have the claws these days with our nails,
We do.
and no earrings and any kind of like facial piercings. If anything is like flat backed or flat front, that's usually pretty fine. But for me, I just take all my jewelry off. I just
Yeah.
don't even on the wrist. Then again, I don't have anything that's permanent anyway.
Right.
And yeah, so you basically just want to stretch along the inside of the mask.
Okay.
I can do a quick demo if you want.
Yeah. Do
We also have
it.
a quick video of it on our social media pages,
Okay.
but I'll pull down one of the masks. I think the mask that we used
Yay.
in the Mythbusters shoot, which I think we'll cover in a little bit. I know we haven't yet. Um, so for this quick demo for ladies, because obviously I have a lot of long hair, I usually just do one long braid straight down the back of my head.
Okay.
I can use wig caps. I usually do use wig caps, depending on what the mask is. You'll be able to see the braid down the back.
Okay.
So that's why I'll use like a wig cap and I'll do the traditional method of two braids, wig cap, all that jazz.
Yeah. Now, if you've got a cowl, I'm sure you don't really necessarily need the wig cap because you can usually hide your brain down the back of that cowl, so it's not going to be as noticeable. But if you don't, a wig cap is definitely a good call. I have the same long hair issue, so I totally understand. It's yeah, it can be a thing.
So this mask has seen some better days. It is a hot used mask, so don't judge on its condition because she has been loved but worn. I don't know if I can back up a little bit. I'm gonna kick you out a little bit here. I wasn't planning on doing a demo, but
I'm
here we
sorry.
are. No,
Surprise!
I offered, so here we go. She is on a head form right now, so I do have to take her off real quick. This is going to be the fun part.
Now, do you recommend that folks get a head form to stow their wigs on?
We
Or not their
provide
wigs, their masks, sorry.
No, you're good. We provide you with a head form with every mask that you order from us at CFX.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
With you or only companies that do that. Anytime you order from us on the website, and 75% of the time you order from us at a trade or you buy from us at a trade show.
Yeah.
If you do cash and carry at a trade show, it depends on how many physical head forms we were able to bring with us.
Right.
But if you order anything from us, you always get a head form.
That's
and
really
we
good to know.
recommend storing it on the head form. You don't have to. You can just leave it in a bag like this and it'll be fine. But since we give it to you, you might as well, use that.
And then you can have it on display in like your living room on top of your TV stand if you have one of those, if you so wish to do so. Not that we have those in our house.
Not like we have 2 rooms of that in our house. I'm just in the one room that I think doesn't have it. Our room in the bedroom, believe it or not, doesn't have masks, but we obviously have memorabilia.
Well, yeah, of course.
Okay, so I've got your silicone mask. You should usually flip the bib forward. That way the bib is forward and you have access to the neck area of the mask because that's where you need it to stretch the most in order to put it on. And we like to say to go all the way up to your wrists here. That way you have the most control and most stretch. And you see how much I'm stretching this guy or this gal?
Wow.
I'm not strong enough to rip this mask. We do what we call selective reinforcing throughout the mask. So we do in the mouth area here, in the eye area, the nose, and the ears. We do some reinforcement on the inside, the areas that gives the most amount of movement.
Okay.
So, when you are trying to put your mask on, it obviously will have facial features, so you want to line your facial features up with its facial features. And you stretch this guy as far as you need to. For women, sometimes it's easier for us to start on our forehead and lock it in and go back.
Okay.
For some men, it's easier to start on the back and go forward. I'm going to do the forehead and back. It's easier for me.
Okay.
Do it on the side so you can see.
So it's kind of like, it's almost like you're practicing with it just to see what works best for you. So you could try doing the forehead method first, or you could try doing back. It sounds like it's more of what you're comfortable actually doing when you're putting it on.
Right. So for me, I like to lock it on my forehead right here. So I'm going to show you both methods.
Okay.
You stretch it as far as you need to. You lock it on your forehead and you basically do a wiggle, 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 wiggle until the mask will be all the way on and you can see out of it. And then you'll take your hands out and you do some adjusting on the outside.
Okay.
So hang tight, I'll show you. And I'm gonna have to do some adjusting.
It's okay. Thank you for giving us a demo. This is going to be very helpful because I know there are a lot of folks out there who are looking to either purchase their first masks or they have them and they're still a little bit shy with working with them. So this is great. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm gonna put on a mask today, so here we go. So the forehead and stretch it, pull it back, pull it forward. Here we go. Just gonna do a little bit of massaging to get into place. And there she is. Hello.
The movement on that is fantastic. Especially in the mouth. Like, you wouldn't think that it would actually have as much movement as it does, but they really do have wonderful movements.
So yeah, so once you put the mask on, sometimes it's a little bit like this, and you just gotta do some massaging into place. Sometimes your little jaw will pop out. We have pockets for everything on your face in the mask.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a 360.
You can't even see the braid either.
So yeah, in this one it's great because she does have that wig, and it kind of disguises it with the texture.
Yeah.
So to take it off, it's the exact opposite.
Okay.
You take your hands underneath this bit, go up to your cheeks, and you come straight up.
You make it look so easy.
I've also been doing this for about 10 years, so I have a little bit of experience.
So what I'm hearing is, don't get discouraged. After some practice, you too will be able to slap that mask on and off just as easily.
Let me tell you, not with masks, but in terms of contacts. The first time I got colored contacts or character contacts, I fought with one for the better part of like 3 hours. I literally had to put it down and come back the next day.
Oh, wow.
And literally within like 40 seconds, it was like, bloop. I'm like, sometimes, yes, it's just practice and patience is a virtue. And real quick, I do want to show in the back of the head, because obviously our head has a little dip right here as we go down to the neck. You can stretch it and usually lock it in right about there. So I'm going to do that real quick for you.
Awesome. JD says he's having total recall flashbacks.
I mean, a little bit, right?
Someone needs to make her into a mask where it's got that triple cut. That'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be interesting to see, where it's like the head is splitting and then there's another person.
Just saying, there's an idea for you.
I mean, we got a lot of ideas, but all right. So same thing, stretch it really far. I'm gonna flip it back, and like I said, for me, because of my hair, I got a lot of wiggle room. But you want to put it on the back of your head, forward. Oh. I'm done.
Ta-da!
So, ta-da! All right, I'm gonna get out of this and take my hair down.
Yes.
And put my glasses on because I can sort of see it.
Kind of see.
I can sort of see it.
I can understand. Now, you guys have got so many different masks. I know we saw y'all at Transworld, and I knew you guys had a plethora, but I did not realize the variations that you have, right? So you could have like one mask in like 8 different colors in these things. And one of them that I wanted to kind of show everybody is the Oculus mask here real quickly, because this one comes in a variety of colors, and it's gorgeous. The paint jobs are amazing, number one. I love the design of it. And I noticed in the pictures it's got like that little light in there. So does that actually light up, or was that just kind of like for the picture? I gotta ask.
No, those light up. We have versions that light up and versions that don't. And obviously we really like the ones that light up. So in 2 of those, the 2 on the outside, so the far left one is our desiccated, the super rusty wasteland weakened one. And then the one on the far right is just our gross bloody version. Those just have a single pin LED light. The one in the middle is Splicer, so kind of BioShock inspired.
Nice.
Got a kind of really cool trifecta LED in there. But yeah, so it's LED. They are powered by a battery pack. They're like the small disc batteries in there.
Okay.
And yeah, no, Oculus is a pretty badass mask. I'm not gonna lie. The design was really awesome.
Now,
We
how easy is it to change the batteries out on those once they do finally bite the dust?
Oh, super easy. It's basically there's a wire that runs from that LED on the inside of the mask. It comes all the way through the wire, and that runs all the way down to a small battery pack it's below that bib area. So
Okay.
you have access to that battery pack. You can put it wherever you want on you. It's not embedded into the mask. The wire is set into the mask though.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Now, what you got again? With the color schemes on these things, how do you guys? And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the process, and if you're not, just we'll move on to the next thing. But how do y'all figure out what colors you're gonna go with for these masks? Because some of them you go like the blacklight reactive, some of them you go those awesomely goried and bloodied, and some you've got like that wasteland look, which I absolutely adore. So how do you guys narrow down like how many colors are going to be done in a mask and what styles?
It's hard to rein everything in. But we know that every design that we put out, we want to have at least 3 to 4 versions or variants to release. It's mainly because of variety. We want more variety, and we want to be able to show you how amazingly different a mask can look by just changing its paint scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have at this point quite a massive catalog of paint variation. So depending on the design, we'll look at it and we'll be like, ooh, yeah, let's do, this desiccated version, which we had just done on a Torque mask, and or let's do this super dark bloody version like we do on our Flight Frank. But every now and then it's like, okay, paint room or anybody in the shop really, it's like, do you have, you've seen this mask kind of coming together, do you have any ideas for a paint? And the one in the middle, that BioShock one, that was a design or a color scheme that our painter Michelle came up with. Big fan of the BioShock series, and wanted something kind of Big Daddy-esque
Mm-hmm.
games. So that's very heavily inspired by that. So a lot of the ideas come from just us and other inspirations and things we've seen or other things we've done. So it's everywhere is the answer to your question, and the longest version.
Now it's got to
Come from everywhere and are implemented by Josh as the mask operations manager. But yeah, the designs and the color schemes come from everywhere.
now do you go so looking at like the Oculus one in particular, that's got to be creepy as hell going through a haunt and just seeing that light coming at somebody. Like, I can't imagine. That's got to be so awesome. I'm a big fan of lights. I'm like a child in that sense, like, ooh, shiny and bright, let me go to it.
I know it was rocks, so
yes, I'm like that with rocks myself, so I understand. But like, that's just, it's so cool. And just to kind of show folks at home some of the different stuff that you guys have, like the demon mask, just to kind of switch onto something else. So here's another one that has multiple paint schemes. It's the same design. The backs I've got here in green, which is beautiful. And I mean, to be honest, like the flesh tone terrifies the hell out of me even more than like that red and that green do, because it's just got this really rad alien type feel to it. So these are, yeah, and the detail that go into these sculpts is amazing.
So yeah, I am constantly blown away by the designs that Josh and the team are working on. We do some internal mass design stuff, but right now we have a backlog of designs that we've been kind of cataloging for a little while. This design and the one before it, Oculus, this is Ronan. He's quite a fantastically detailed design with all of that filigree. These two were 3D designs, so they were 3D renders that we turned into sculpts. So it was definitely a bit of a challenge with Ronan's horns here, the way that they come down on, across the top of his head and they wrap around his ears there. So we actually had to pull those off and make those separately. We actually 3D printed those horns, and then molded the 3D print and then cast that in silicone. So we do some 3D printing with some of our stuff, and we did the same thing with Oculus. There's his the middle part of his head, not that lens, but that metal rusted aperture area that was 3D printed before going to molding. So that's all silicone with the exception of that lens there, right there in the middle. But it gives you the impression that it's much more solid and hard because we were able to create such a smooth and the concave surface using a 3D print.
I mean, yeah, it looks pretty much flawless on that. And it does, to your point, it looks like it would be extremely hard just because of the way that it juts out on that piece. But to know that it's really not, that it's silicone, I mean, I think that's fantastic. And you guys have done some really, really, really cool designs. And I know, you mentioned that you do some 3D printing, but you also have some folks that sculpt some stuff out for you guys, which I think is really cool. And I love the fact that you of course do stuff in house, but you're also willing to kind of like look outside the box and bring some friends in too. And I think that's huge, and that's important for any industry, whether it's just makeup or mask making or creature suit making or anything like that. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, we have some really amazing friends in the industry, and they're usually really busy. When they're not, and they're like, "Hey, I have some downtime, and we have the availability," we're like, "Yeah, come out. We'd love to have you work on some stuff." We had Roy Woolley during the pandemic. Obviously, things got really funky, but we already kind of had things in motion. We had Roy Woolley from Netherworld Haunted Attraction. He does a lot of the makeup for them. He came out. I don't know. I think Tony. Tony Mendiel.
We know Tony.
You might know Tony. So Tony was a great connect that we found through a mutual friend, Bradley, who came out and sculpted some stuff for us. And he is a fantastic person, and we love the stuff that he does. So, to be able to connect to our friends in the industry and even friends from across the globe, to be able to be like, hey, we would love to have you do something for us. So Herman is our resident sculptor, 3D design sculptor right now, and he's actually based in Costa Rica. He's not even in the US right now.
Oh, wow.
Those last two designs, or those last two masks, are some of our newest, and they are actually some of Herman's 3D renders that we have helped guide and shape for the most part. But yeah, so we love utilizing our friends who love to come do some cool, scary stuff with us.
Now you guys don't do just scary though. You've got some stuff that are not scary, and one of them is a personal favorite who I feel like never really got enough love. And if you're a Spaceballs fan, like I'm a Spaceballs fan, this guy should look vaguely familiar. This is Vinny. And he's not like a main character. He's kind of like one of the backgrounds. He's got some lines, right? With Pizza the Hut. But he's so awesome. And I love the fact that you did his classic look. And in the pictures, of course, you've added the hat and the shades. Do they come with, or do you got to find those on your own?
So we're going to try to bring him to Comic-Con, and we're going to do the whole setup at Comic-Con. So that might get sold with at Comic-Con. Normally it probably wouldn't come with, but we'll see what we can make happen.
Okay. And then you've also got this really beautiful, like stained glass looking version of it, which is just, it's so gorgeous, and it almost transforms it into something completely different just because of that paint job alone.
Exactly. And so it's funny. This is actually our NPC gym mask. And this mask kind of started as a joke for the 3D print test, or the 3D design testing that we were kind of just talking about. Just to see like what angles we can get and how good we can get that molded and everything. And so we have a Caucasian one that's just like an old school NPC playable character. And then I, just like you, am a huge Spaceballs fan. I also love Star Wars and Star Trek. I'm an equal opportunity star lover. So when I first saw it, I'm like, we have to do Vinny. Like that was something that I'm like, we have to do a semblance of Vinny. And so we just added some screw heads and some shading. I went on Amazon. I found the hat and the glasses, and it was meant to be. Similarly with the stained glass one, uh, funnily enough, the first CGI character is in the Young Sherlock Holmes, and he's a stained glass knight. So we kind of wanted to do a funny little homage to that. And that's a paint job that our painter Michelle wanted to do. And so, yeah, it's just super prismatic. It's using some really badass color shifting pigments that we found that we've been incorporating into a lot of masks. This is obviously just highlighting it in a very large capacity. But yeah, this multifaceted man is super versatile. So we definitely had to do him in Vinny, had to do him in that stained glass. We have a few other versions that we're going to be doing that'll be coming out pretty soon. But yeah, man after my own heart and pizza.
Pizza the Hut is such a great character. I'm gonna go off on a side tangent for a moment. Can we agree? How awesome is Pizza the Hut?
It's the first time God, I can't remember the first time I saw Spaceballs, but I was definitely like 11 or 12, and I'm like, that's disgusting, but also so amazing at the same time. And the fact that, for those of you who haven't seen Spaceballs, that Vinny licks him at the end of that scene, I'm like,
takes a bite almost. He's just like,
yeah, he takes like one of the pepper. It's just, and you can see the actor's mouth in Pizza the Hut. Like it's all so much and all just so amazing. And also one of the many reasons why I am obsessed with effects and stuff the way that I am.
I mean, it's the perfect example, right? So, like, if you haven't seen Spaceballs, I'm not sure where you've been these past, like, 20 years, but go watch it because it really is a fantastic movie. And on a side fact, I had to have, like, an endoscopy done. And remember when they have the whole chest burster scene and he like comes out and he's singing like, hello, my baby, hello, my... Okay, so when I came out, before I went under, we were talking about Spaceballs. So when I came out, I was literally singing that song because that was the last thing that we had talked about was Spaceballs.
That's amazing.
So I feel like it's yeah, y'all need to watch it if you haven't seen it yet. It's really phenomenal. I absolutely adore it.
All the references you have ever heard in every recent nerd culture movie ever comes from Spaceballs. Like, yes. Mel Brooks just is...
Oh, everything. Anything the man has done, watch it, have a Mel Brooks night, enjoy, and just know that those films were done in a time where there was... all bets were off. Absolutely. It didn't matter. They were funny. But anyway, sorry, mini
tangent. That's okay. We can go into musical theater stuff too in a hot second, but that's a conversation for another time. But you know,
you could do a whole other show based on that.
I would say both versions of the producers are worth watching.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just
and saying. Hairspray.
Yes. Yes.
They were both good. Let's throw that out there. Now, for folks, you guys do a lot of events and you do some cash and carry, and you had mentioned that you guys end up taking a lot of orders at conventions and trade shows and things that you're doing. What is the standard processing time for someone that's doing an order online versus at like one of the trade shows?
Right now, it's pretty much the same across the board, depending on volume. Our average wait time right now is about 4 to 6 weeks for anything made to order. That's, whether you're seeing us at a trade show or, you're ordering off the website. If you're getting anything with hair added or like heavy alterations or stuff that's like super customized that we're kind of going some back and forth on, sometimes that pushes it up to about 8 weeks. But on average, you'll order from us and within 5 to 6 weeks, the mask will show up at your door and you'll be, having your best dream or someone's worst nightmare, depending on how you look at it.
I mean, why not both?
Right, why not both? Obviously, cash and carry at the trade shows, it's instant gratification. We love that. We want to make sure that you see it. I want it. I got it. I'm good. If you're doing, for haunted houses or haunted attractions or even other Halloween-themed events, if they're doing larger purchase orders, like 10 plus masks, sometimes that can do your wait time up a little bit more, but on average, we're about 6 weeks is where we are.
Now, do you guys usually bring a lot of stuff for cash and carry when you're doing trade shows?
It depends on the trade show, but pretty much everything that we have on the shelf is cash and carry.
Oh, okay.
So at Trans World, with the exception of maybe like 3 or 4 things, and that's just maybe because that's just the only one, and we want to bring it back so we can have we can use it to paint more kind of thing.
Right.
That's very few and far between. And if you tell me that I need it or that you need it, we'll be like, okay, here, take it. Trans World, the HHA show, we bring our biggest display of masks. We bring a 10 by 50 booth. And so I think we brought about 300 masks for Trans World this year.
Wow.
Our smallest booths we do are 10 by 10s, and San Diego Comic-Con is one of those. That's just due to getting all of our stuff out from Baton Rouge, Louisiana to San Diego, California.
Yeah, it's a little bit of ways.
It's a little bit of a ways. Josh and I drive it all the way across the country. It's actually easier to do that than to freight it. We do have 2 other members of our team who fly in and join us for the show.
Okay.
So they get the easy job. They get to fly in and fly out, but they do have to set up.
Okay. Well, okay. So at least they're still having, not that they're not working, but the traveling right. and the transportating of the stuff alone is definitely a little more difficult than just popping on a plane and be like, all right, let's go.
Look at here. What do I need to do? Right.
Right. Yeah. I'm here. Let's go.
Our trade show teams are fantastic. We have a few, like Josh and I are staples at most of the trade shows, but we have a small team that kind of rotates out between most of the trade shows. Okay. So yeah, San Diego Comic-Con will be about 4 of us, and we'll be bringing about 36 masks kind of fit on our display that we have there.
Okay.
So yeah, the gamut ranges from about 35 masks to 300 masks, depending on what show we're at.
Now, how do you guys decide what shows you're going to do? Because, I mean, there is, like, a trade show, a convention for, like, I feel like everything these days. So how do you guys did you guys, like, sit down, like, at the first of the year and go, okay, these are the ones that we want to make sure that we do this year that we don't miss? Or do you just kind of, like, pop a one-off here and there?
So it's a little bit of both. So before I came to work for CFX, Trans World was always a staple for the Honda House industry. That is the biggest, industry trade show to go to. You can't miss it, kind of thing. That was also, 10 years ago when all these other, horror Halloween conventions weren't a thing yet, or were still kind of getting off the ground.
Right.
So Trans World is our biggest trade show, and that is our trade show that we go to, kind of buyer to buyer, large scale haunts, even some home haunts, theme parks see us there to do all their, their masks for their characters for the season. So they've been going to that one for years. And then they were approached to do San Diego Comic-Con because we have the Game of Thrones license. So we have Game of Thrones masks. Yes.
I forgot about that. That's right.
So yeah, we have the Night King and 2 White Walkers. And so that's, because of that, we're like, okay, well, we have to make sure we do Comic-Con every year. So those were the 2 staples for CFX for us for a long time. But I knew coming to work for them that it was like, look, there's a lot of other markets. When you came into work or when you came into Venn Comic-Con, that opens your doors to cosplayers and everything else in between, and collectors as well, not just people who are going to wear your masks for a haunt or Halloween season. I told them when they came to Comic-Con for the first time, I'm like, you guys have no idea how amazing this product is for this market. They've never seen anything like this here before. I know, I've been coming forever. And so that was just something that, I was like, hey, we can maybe start looking at these other conventions and not just trade shows.
Right.
So that's part of my job, is trying to organize all the trade shows and our appearances and getting us to and from the shows. And honestly, it's a task. It's trying to figure out which shows are going to have the audience that we want, that are going to not even necessarily be buyers, but people who want to be exposed to silicone masks, people who have never even seen a silicone mask before, or who have always just seen our stuff online and have never gotten a real opportunity to see them in person. Even if they're not going to come by, they want to be able to touch and feel and try on, and maybe grab some of our silicone guts and stuff like that to take home. It's kind of in between. So it's trying to find shows like that. So, we do want to, it's harder the farther out we go, obviously.
Right.
So we haven't a lot of other West Coast shows just because it takes us so long to get there, and it's such a journey.
Yeah.
And same thing with really extremity on the East Coast side of things. We haven't really gone anywhere up in New England or New York or anything like that. The closest we actually do IAPA in Orlando. So we get to
Oh,
Orlando one time a year. We are hoping to change that with making appearances at Spooky Empire.
yes. You guys
I
should
don't
come down. It'd be fun.
It would be really fun. We missed the May one this year. We just couldn't fit in our schedule. We were trying to still figure out our schedule. That was part of the issue.
Ah,
Usually the beginning of the year, yes. It's actually usually right after IAPA that I look at some shows that maybe I need to, uh, validate. I need to see if we're going to be worthwhile for us because
right.
as you know, most trade shows, once one show is over, they are already planning for the next show. So if
Mm-hmm.
we don't get our exhibitor application in at a certain time frame, we may lose out on a booth space or a preferred booth space or, all that jazz.
Right.
Early bird pricing, whatnot. So sometimes it's, hey, what shows are this year? And it's me just researching them and vetting them that year. And it's going to be the following year that we actually exhibit and bend and whatnot. So it's a little bit of everything, trying to find something that's convenient, something that it's going to be uh, the crowd that wants to see our stuff more than
Right.
anything. And making sure we have the time, making sure it just fits in our schedule with some of the other big shows that we already have to do, and
Right.
to work on that. In addition to making sure that we can work around and having stock and inventory for the Halloween season, which is sometimes why it's really hard to do any shows later in the fall. And
Well,
in
yeah, because I'm sure you guys are inundated with orders and trying to get everything shipped and done and out the door so that your haunters that are ordering for that have them in hand. And I wanted to ask you guys. I know Transworld is doing a second show next year. They're doing their Philadelphia show for their first year. Are you guys going to be attending that one as well as the one in St. Louis?
So I'm not sure on that one yet. That's still really up in the air for us. We may go just to kind of see and feel it out. Uh, we're not sure yet. We're still up in the air about that one. But we are really excited about the potential to get out to the East Coast because I was just talking about that. Uh,
Yes.
we don't have a lot of options to get out that way, so that is definitely something that we are piqued and are intrigued with, and hopefully we can fit it into our schedule. If not, next year in 2024, the year following, because I don't see that show going away anytime soon.
No, not at all. And I mean, there's not really. I mean, and I just may not know, but I can't really think of a show that's like that on the East Coast. So I think that that's going to be a great move for them, and hopefully, you guys will be able to make it out there. I know we're talking about possibly trying to decide which one we're going to do because we can't do both because PTO and jobs happen. So
Right.
we're trying to figure that out too. But it's definitely exciting to see that they're expanding, and it's exciting that it gives companies like you guys the opportunity to travel where maybe you're not usually going. So I think that that's awesome. I did want to ask you too, is there's so many different mask making companies I feel like that are out there and that are making like, hands and body parts and different things. What sets you guys apart from any of those other companies?
Well, I'm going to brag a little bit.
Do it.
We were one of the first silicone mask companies out there. The only other exception was a company that some of you may be familiar with SPFX, Rusty Slusser, and they were he was out of Hollywood. Rusty technically came to market first, but CFX has been making silicone masks and selling silicone masks to the market since 2006.
Wow.
The other thing is that we got started in haunted attractions. So we make masks for haunters by haunters. Some of you may not know this, and some of you may, that Ken, who's the owner of CFX, used to be a makeup artist at the 13th Gate Haunted Attraction out here in Baton Rouge.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
So, needless to say, the silicone mask was born out of necessity. For those of you who run haunts, you know that you can't spend 3 hours putting somebody in makeup and then 3 hours taking them out of makeup for a potentially 6 hour run for a haunt for
Oh,
28 days, or for, I guess, more 15 days, depending on how long your run is. Um, so, needless to say, there had to be a better way. And so, some research and classes and techniques and development later, Ken and his former business partner developed the silicone mask as we know it here at CFX. And the rest is kind of history in that regard. So we always have haunters in mind. We want to make sure that you're comfortable whenever you're wearing the mask. We want to make sure that you have access to as many of your senses as possible. Obviously, be able to breathe. We want you to be able to
See,
hear. We want you to be able to breathe through your nose as well as your mouth on almost all of our masks.
that's
And
awesome.
seeing, being able to see in peripheral is really important. Not to mention the ability to, oh no, I need to get quickly out of this mask and out of this costume for emergencies for you, emergencies for guests, for any kind of situation. We want to make sure that you're comfortable and that you're happy in the mask. So, in that regard, I kind of feel like that's one of the two of the things that set us apart is that we have been making silicone masks the longest. And we always have your comfort in mind because we started in haunted houses. And so we always have the haunt customers in mind.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
As well as having some amazing paint team members who just slay at my paint jobs.
Oh my god, they're so pretty. Like, all right, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I show you these pictures online, and we kind of showed you a couple of them, and I'm just gonna scroll back through real quick. So we've got Oculus. This is just absolutely gorgeous.
My photos never do the mask justice. Like, I can sit there for 20 minutes and just try to make sure that, like, my photos, because I use mirrorless technology. We just use our iPhones these days because it's so good. And I'm just sitting there just doing some basic adjustments. And I'm like, this mask look amazing. Why doesn't it look as amazing on that phone? It's crazy how close I can get in photo, but seeing, as you know, Erica, in person, seeing these masks in person is a completely different experience.
It is. So I know, like, some folks, and I'm going to touch on this real quick. I don't want to get into in depth with this, but I know some folks, they look at pricing and they immediately scoff, which to me, like, shut up. Because let's be honest about it. If I'm going to pay $20 for a mask, I know that mask is going to be garbage. I know that mask is not going to be good quality. I know it's not going to last, and the paint job is going to suck. Let's be real about this right now. So with the CFX masks, you're getting a quality product. You're getting something that is going to last you 20 years. You're getting something that's got a beautiful paint job. And yes, the pictures look pretty. But people, when you see them in person, if you've not seen them in person yet, they are gorgeous. Now, I can't do masks because when I take my glasses off, you are blurry. I can't read any of the words. Like, I'm blind as a bat. So unless I'm in, like, little baby tunnel, that's it. So for me, they're not a good option. However, if you can rock your contacts, you don't need the glasses. They're so pretty.
Some of the masks you can wear with your glasses on the mask. So, like, our imp.
Oh, JD.
Because, like, obviously, the more natural human you get, the more realistic you are able, to get. So
you could put the glasses on him.
Oh, absolutely. And then he's intelligent imp.
Oh,
imp.
No, I didn't even think about that you could actually slap them. See, that's another amazing thing. But they're gorgeous and versatile and just do the things. And I know we're running a little long because there's a couple of other things I wanted to touch on real quick. And you had mentioned it before when we had started. Where are we at? Let's show you guys this. No, she had mentioned a Mythbusters episode. Let's talk about this. How did this happen? Because I love that show and I miss that show.
Same. I had loved watching Mythbusters just growing up on the Discovery Channel. I was a Discovery Channel kid. I loved all of that, how it's made, the roller coasters, everything. So when we moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, when we opened up our own attraction, I knew that that's where they were based. And I'm like, it's my mission. Be on a Mythbusters volunteer episode. And it's going to happen. I'm willing it into existence. And so obviously, it was getting long in the seasons, and I think I had heard that they were, like, filming some of their last seasons. And I was like, crap. And somehow this SurveyMonkey form came across my Facebook feed for volunteers for a zombie episode for Mythbusters, and I signed the hell up. And in the survey, it was like, yeah, we want you to be like zombie makeup. You can wear, like, appliances, but we don't want you to wear masks. And I'm like, ooh, but I know some people who make some really cool masks and we own them. And so, needless to say, I did some Google fooing, emailing back and forth. I was able to convince whoever was behind the production at that point in time to be like, okay, yes, these masks are legit. They're going to, they're going to work for our needs because obviously they wanted us to be able to see and hear and perform and all that jazz, which our
Right.
masks allow us to do. Um, and basically, they got the okay, and they had to reach out to Ken at CFX and have a little agreement to make sure that, yes, we can use their masks on Mythbusters and it will be credited in the end of the episode and stuff.
That's so awesome.
And yeah, basically, so that's the mask that I was just wearing. That's our Emma mask that's done up with the zombie and hair, and our Krusty, that's Josh, my counterpart. In our Krusty, the zombie mask, you see his sunglasses in his pocket. He was wearing those sunglasses in that mask around the area while we were shooting that day.
I love that so much.
But yeah, so we were there and they were filming, retesting their best way to kill a zombie, whether it was like an axe or a paintball gun or like, a gun array and whatnot. So we have some footage of us just getting taken out that way. There's an episode or a section where Josh is wearing a rig, getting taken out.
Coming back to you.
We have some of these plastics. Sorry, I went to go find stuff.
No, you're good.
These were the plastic zombie masks that we were wearing over our zombie masks when we were getting shot by paintballs.
Oh, I love that. Right in the face.
This was Josh's, and he got shot in the face. This was mine, and I got shot right in the forehead. So Adam got me right in the forehead at one point, and then once on the side of the face too.
I love that you got to keep them. That's so awesome.
Oh, we got to keep these. Oh, I don't think I have it in here. But when they asked us to come back, so basically they're like, oh my gosh, we love you. We love your masks. Do you have more people? Can you come back and help us film our cold open? And that's when we were running a haunt. And I'm like, yeah, I got people. So it was like 3 or 4 weeks later, we showed up to the Alameda Fairgrounds. And they had taken one of their outbuildings and turned it into like a grocery store setup. Since the other myth they were testing that episode is basically which is the best way to do a grocery store queue line. Okay. So they had set the grocery store up with all like products, but they were all like zombie products. So it was like canned brains or like brain puff cereal, and I have one somewhere. I just don't know where it is, but it's the funniest stuff. And so they set up this whole shopping center or this whole little area as like a grocery store, and they had all of us there, zombie extras, filling the grocery store, doing like mindless shopping. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a bucket list, a dream come true, not only to be a volunteer in Mythbusters, but to be a zombie and wearing CFX silicone masks. It was just a super trifecta of epicness. And it's still one of my favorite memories, obviously.
That's pretty awesome. I absolutely love that. And I want to pop down real quick and just kind of show you guys where folks can find you next, because you've got quite a few shows coming up here.
Just a few. So some of the ones we've already done, obviously, are at the Halloween Attraction Show with Transworld and Fear Expo. But the ones we have coming up next are Texas Haunters Convention. That's going to be in Mesquite, Texas, in mid-July, July, and then a San Diego Comic-Con out in San Diego. That is literally the week following Texas Haunters Convention.
Oh, wow.
So Josh and I will not be at Texas Haunters Convention. Sorry, y'all, and neither will Maui. I know Maui's a hot commodity at all these trade shows, our little pit bull. So, because we'll be en route to Comic-Con. So Texas Haunters Convention in July in Mesquite, San Diego Comic-Con in San Diego. And then we're going back to Mask Fest in Indianapolis, which is part of Horror Hound Weekend. We haven't done a Mask Fest since 2019 because of the pandemic, so it's its first year back. We're so excited. That's in early August.
Okay.
And then so far, the only thing we have slated after that is IAPA, and that's the attractions theme park industry trade show in Orlando in your neck of the woods in November, right before Thanksgiving.
And you will have to hit us up when you're in town so we can do something fun because if you're in my neck of the woods, we got to figure something out. And I'm sure Tony would want to say hi. I'm sure he'll probably end up at IAPA. He usually does.
No, absolutely. Yeah, we have plans to be down in Orlando, hopefully sooner rather than later. While CFX may not be vending at Spooky in October, we are trying to see if we can make a personal appearance.
You should. You guys would have so much fun. Oh my God, you should.
Because we may have some other obligations with a consortium out here that does like Halloween parade events and stuff like that. So we're unfortunately, there's only 2 of us and a lot of places we gotta go.
I get it.
But no, absolutely. When we're in town for IAPA, you'll hear from us. I mean, where we'll be. We'll be staying right there at the convention center. Yay. So we troll all that little area and all that jazz right there.
We'll have to pop down. That's not far from us.
Yes. I think we are looking to do Fan Expo New Orleans next January. So that is probably one of our first new shows that we will be hitting in 2024. So
well, I know they're also doing another. Is it Fear Expo that's coming to Orlando in like February next year, I think, too?
Yeah.
For their first year. But I'm not real familiar with them, I'll be honest with you.
That show, from what I remember, because there's a lot of shows, it's more aimed at makeup and special effects.
I think you're right.
Great for us. But just time frame wise, we're really focusing on Trans World that time of year.
Yeah.
So we're already going to be doing a trade show, in January. It's in our backyard, but we're still on the fence with that one if we're going to attend that one. Similarly to the East Coast show for, but like I said, there's a lot of shows I got to vet and I got to figure out.
There's too many at this point. Let's be honest. There's like I said, there's shows all over for everything.
Got my shoe. Oh, there's a show.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now I have 2 more questions, and these are not at all CFX related, but these are my fun questions, and I like to ask these of all of my guests because it kind of gives me a little insight as to you as a person, and also as to whether you're on my team or not, and that will come later, which there's a 50-50 shot. I'll tell you what it is shortly, but so I have to ask this of all of my guests, what is your favorite horror film? And you can, if it's hard, you can have a couple. I'll allow a top 3.
So, I guess by proxy, it's Child's Play because that's the first horror movie I can remember.
Okay.
Watching at 3, courtesy of my aunt. My aunt is the horror lover in my life. She is the reason why I love horror. My mom and my dad are pop culture and, but my aunt, horror all day, every day. Nice. So Child's Play just by proxy. Okay. I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's one of just, in terms of just grittiness, the first time I remember seeing it was just, it blew my mind. And when I started haunting, the first room that I worked in was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre room. So I have a soft spot for Texas Chainsaw. That's awesome. But there's one of my other favorite ones is kind of obscure. It's called Feast. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've heard of it. I have not seen it yet, though. But I have heard of it.
It's just kind of okay. There's a bar in the middle of a desert, and someone comes in acting as the hero because there's a monster outside and shit's going down. Is in a nutshell, but that's all horror movies, right? Oh. If you can find it, give it a watch. It's campy. It's not like...
That's fine. I love camp, so I'm good.
Feast is up there. An obscure horror, I gotta go Rubber. If you've never seen Rubber.
Okay. I have not. I'll have to check that one out as well.
It's about a tire.
Oh my God! I've seen the previews for it! So listen, there was this random trilogy. I don't know how we got it. It was an anthology. And I took a clip of it, and it was a Killing shopping cart. And it was the best thing I've ever seen. And I mean, it is cheese-tastic if you love that kind of stuff. And then someone they were like, you have to watch Rubber. And I saw the little trailer for it, and I lost my mind. So I'm trying to find it because it looks like it would be right up my campy alley.
It's 100% your cup of tea, I guarantee. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, the 13 Ghosts, because that's definitely that spurred a lot of interest in a similar like anthology kind of horror, just the whole that whole backstory universe. It's like it wasn't just one character; it was all of these characters. So
Oh yeah,
that's my quadratic equation there. There was four, right? I don't know. I'm making
four
up
or five.
words.
Listen, they're all right. The ones that I've seen out of them were good films. I enjoy A Child's Play. I still enjoy A Child's Play. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my favorites for the same reason. It's got that grittiness and that raw, and then the whole like based on a true story thing, right? So that was new before it was even really a thing, because let's face it, nowadays they throw that tagline in front of everything, but back in like the 70s they weren't. So that kind of added to it.
Have you seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
Oh my god, I love that movie so much.
Because that totally touches on like the Texas Chainsaw adjacent stuff. Like,
yes.
So, like, but yeah, sorry.
No. You're not wrong at all, because it does. It has that beginning feel of it where they're like, this is based on a true story type thing, and then you see that gritty and raw to it, and then it does a whole backwards.
And then a 180.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not what you expect it to be at all. Like I did not expect it to go the way that it did, and I absolutely love every single minute of it, and I watch it any chance I get.
Absolutely.
So yes, Tucker and Dale it's got a special place deep in my heart.
If y'all haven't seen it, give it a go.
Oh, you have to. It's gory, it's funny, it's phenomenal. Just go watch.
Alan Tudyk,
Oh, he's great in everything. He really is. So go watch that one. And then my last question that I have for you is, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
Ooh.
Actually, there's a sub question after that, so let me rephrase that.
Well, I have always been a big fan of peanut butter, so usually anything with peanut butter, I'm good.
Okay.
I also really like almonds, so anything like with chocolate covered almonds. So the Reese's peanut butter cups are usually my go-to. Skittles aren't bad either. I like the fruity candy, but yeah, Reese's peanut butter cups are.
Reese's going to be a very, very popular choice, because it's chocolate and peanut butter. You really can't go wrong on that. So this is going to lead to my sub question, and this is the real reason I asked the candy question, is what are your feelings on candy corn? Are you pro or anti?
I'm agnostic when it comes to candy corn. I'm not the biggest fan of candy corn. Josh does not mind candy corn. Some of the flavors I'm okay. Like of the 3 flavors that are in there, I'm okay with 2 out of the 3. I don't know which one that I don't like, but there's one I'm just like, that's not for me. But I can only do that kind of candy in small doses, like that Brock's, like, I don't know, like old school style candy. Like,
yeah.
So I like I said, I'm Switzerland when it comes to candy corn. I won't buy it, but if it's there, I might eat a few kernels.
Okay. I love that your answer was I'm agnostic to candy corn, because I feel like for the people that are in the middle, that's kind of the perfect way to say it. So we're a household divided here at my house. My husband hates it with every fiber of his being. He is constantly trying to get like candy corn banned. It is not for him. He calls it wax. He's chiming in the chat. JD, shut up. I love you, but shut up. I am a fan of candy corn. I ate it as a kid. I've grown up with it. I love the pumpkins. I love the candy corn itself. Like,
okay, so
by the handfuls.
The autumn mix, I jam with Brock's autumn mix.
Yes.
All day, every day. The autumn candy corn.
Yeah.
Yes. Give me those pumpkins all day, every day.
Yeah.
But it's just traditional candy corn. It's not for me.
It's listen, an agnostic answer is a safe answer, because that doesn't like, you're not taking sides, so I can appreciate that. But I feel like most people either really hate it or they love it, and it's become like a thing. So
it's almost as bad as pineapple on pizza. So
listen, I like pineapple on pizza.
I like the flavor of pineapple on pizza. I don't like actually the pineapple on
Okay.
pizza.
Like the sweetness that it
Yeah.
brings. Okay.
Well, like yeah, I like the honestly, leave me the juice, but I don't like warm fruit, so
Okay. No, I listen. I can understand that, and I can respect that. That's respectable.
it's too much. I don't like it at that point. It's like
And it does. If it's hot, that's kind of weird. Like I like it like room temperature is fine, but if it's hot, no, thank you.
that's too much.
Well, thank you for coming on this evening and for joining us and all of our chats. And it was lovely getting to know you a little bit more and to talk about the masks because I love them and they're amazing. And I every time somebody mentions masks, I'm like, go check out Composite Effects and here's the links and buy the things because they're amazing. So thank you so much and I appreciate you and don't go away just yet. Let me switch over to gears. I'm going to tell folks about our next show, so hang tight for me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was a wonderful time, and I'm available anytime you want to talk about horror stuff, math stuff, musical theater shenanigans,
Oh,
and candy corn adjacent.
we're going to do it again. Thank you so much. All right, boys and girls, next week coming up on our show, we are going to have Adam and Whitney DeLancet. Now, they run the oddity shop here local in Orlando, Prometheus Esoterica. They've got their oddities event coming up. It's going to be awesome. It is at the Central Florida Fairgrounds. It is going to be inside, so there is air conditioning. So for those of you that are like, but it's summer, there's AC. It's going to be awesome. The husband and I are going to be out there vending. We're going to be vending coffee through Coffee Shop of Horrors. So come buy some coffee. Let us keep you caffeinated while you guys shop. So there'll be guests on our show. We'll be talking about the market. So if you've got questions, shoot me a email or a message, and we'll make sure that those get answered. And then really quickly, I wanted to spotlight two friends of ours who we lost the past 2 weeks. Good friends of the show, Dina Bina and Bobby Hollywood, have unfortunately passed on. So I wanted to take a quick moment and just kind of remember these guys and let their families know how much we love them and how much we're thinking about them and to reach out if they need anything. And we miss both of these very special and amazing people very deeply. And all I can say is take care of yourselves, visit your doctor regularly, make sure that you're getting checked because we want you all here for a very long time. That's going to do it for us today. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching the show. Thank you to Tabitha for coming on and being amazing. And until next time, boys and girls, keep it spooky. Bye.